This golf ball right here is the cheapest golf ball I can find for sale in any major shop in the UK right now, priced at just £9.50 a dozen, or a remarkable offer of 2 dozen for £15. It is incredibly cheap. It also promises soft feel and some incredibly long distance and a high ball flight, all things that lots of amateur golfers like myself are looking for. So just how bad, or maybe how good, is this golf ball? Hi, I'm Luke from Weekend Tour Pros, an average swing speed mid-handicap golfer, and today we're going to put this golf ball through its paces in a full through-the-bag test to find out just how bad or good cheap golf balls really are. Let's get stuck in. So if you're new to my channel, the way that I conduct my ball reviews is I start off with a 20-yard pitch shot using a 60-degree wedge to test the short game performance of the golf ball. I then move up to hitting full shots with pitching wedge and 7-iron, and then finally test that performance off the tee using the driver. Now for each part of the test, I'll hit a batch of shots off camera for benchmarking purposes, and I'll talk you through the golf ball we're going to use for that in a second. I'll then show you a subset of the batch of shots I hit with the Slazenger V100 Distance, including talking you through some of the immediate feedback that I have in terms of feels, sounds, and any immediate TrackMan data that stands out to me while we're in the studio today. After each part of the test, I'll go home and I'll give you a comprehensive deep dive into all of the TrackMan data side by side, comparing the benchmarking golf ball versus the Slazenger V100 Distance, talking about any subtle differences or similarities between these two golf balls. At the end of the video, I'll then give you my concluding thoughts on whether this golf ball is value for money and just how good or bad it really is. Now for regular viewers of my channel, you're used to me benchmarking against the Titleist Pro V1, the #1 ball in golf, and I think it's always a good golf ball to benchmark against. I don't think that's entirely appropriate for this test here, so what we're going to use today is the Titleist TrueFeel, a £25 price point golf ball, and the golf ball in terms of the budget-friendly category that came out in my hands the best golf ball in a recent test that I did on this channel. Now if you're interested in watching that video, I'll put a link to it up there in the corner for you, but I think the type of golfer that maybe is playing this £9.50 golf ball might be considering graduating to a £25 golf ball next, and it'll be really interesting for that golfer to see what they get for their extra bit of money, or if there's actually not much difference. Right, there's no further information to tell you, so let's set up the test and let's start hitting some shots. So first one out of the gate, immediate thought is really clippy sound compared to more traditional, softer feeling golf ball. It actually sounds a little bit clippier, closer to things like the Pro V1 versus it does kind of budget friendly golf ball. So it definitely has that feel straight out of the gate. Again, that is only one shot. Definitely doesn't want to explode off of the face like some of the really soft feeling golf balls that I've tested, like I say, in the next price bracket up recently. Some of them really, like the TaylorMade Speedsoft, they really jump off of the face and explode off of the face with that cover. This definitely doesn't do it. It definitely comes off a lot duller, and again, more closer to a premium golf ball, if I'm honest with you. That's the first one that we've managed to reach 4,000 RPM of spin on, 4,042. That is still, like I say, lower than the lowest that I've had with the TrueFeel. Back to that 3,500 spin again that time. That one I've hit it a little bit too hard. We've just gone beyond our 20-yard carry distance, but we have got the highest spin rate so far at 4,153. Now before we start looking at this data set, the one thing I want to call out is for all four parts of the data sets that you're about to see, I had to hit almost twice as many shots with the Slazenger to get a workable data set versus the Titleist TrueFeel. As a result, the data that you're seeing is the best 60% of shots from the Slazenger and the best 95% of shots with the Titleist TrueFeel. So just bear that in mind in all parts of the test, including when we're talking about consistency. Now starting on the left hand side, when I was in the bay, the Slazenger V100 felt like it came off the face a little bit more like a premium golf ball actually, and just like a premium golf ball, I have seen a lower smash factor as a result of a lower ball speed from a slightly faster club head speed than with the Titleist TrueFeel. In terms of spin rates, the Slazenger V100 did spin significantly less, with circa 800 RPM or 18% less spin than that of the Titleist TrueFeel. That is quite a significant drop off, and if we compared it to a premium golf ball, I'd usually see another 500 RPM more spin than we got out of the Titleist TrueFeel. Now, whenever I do these ball tests, particularly in the short game part of the test, I always find that the cheaper the golf ball, the more loopier, higher ball flight that we get in this type of shot. It's therefore no surprise to see that the cheaper Slazenger V100 has delivered 2.4 degrees more launch angle, 1 feet more peak height, and 2.4 degrees steeper land angle. Now, this does give the Slazenger V100 a chance of offsetting the seriously low spin rate that we've just seen. So did it achieve that? Now, whilst it didn't stop as quickly, that higher loopier ball flight did mean that the Slazenger V100 only rolled out 4.9 yards versus 4.5 yards with the Titleist True Feel. Let's move on to those pitching wedges and see how things change. This is the first one that I'm showing you. I've hit 4 or 5, including a shank, which was the one before it, because it's just taken me a few shots to sort of say, is this what this ball is doing? That one there, we finally got one where the ball speed is there or thereabouts what I got with the True Feel. Spinning at 8,000 is the highest spinning that I've got so far today, and carrying at 109 or 108.5 is, again, on the slightly lower end of what I got with the True Feel, but we've got a bit more spin. We have got peak height of 72 feet and land angle of 48.7. 85 mile an hour ball speed that time. Spin at 7.3 again isn't too bad. Carry at 106 is on the low side, particularly for something that I've pulled, but that peak height of 65 feet is quite low, and the first few shots that I hit that I didn't show you, they were coming out incredibly low, and I was like, oh, a little bit worried if it is that low for a pitching wedge, particularly as I like to see the ball go higher. 84 mile an hour ball speed, carrying at 103, peak height of 61. Spinning at 7.8 though, there is some spin in it. And that, again, on the good ones might be why it's a little bit short. Very, very similar again. That time the spin has dropped down to 6.822. Probably one of the things that's concerning me, and again we'll see it when we get home, is the consistency of the spin rate. You know, we have had some really good ones, high 7,000s, even one that clocked 8,000. But to then see one that drops to 6.6, you just don't know what it's going to do from one shot to the next. Now with a pitching wedge, that might not be a problem because the amount of rollout is minimal, but it will be a problem as we move up through the bag. Right, now let's dissect the data from those pitching wedges. Starting on the left-hand side, you'll see that in this part of the test, the Slazenger V100 was significantly slower than the Titleist True Feel, with a 0.5 mile an hour faster clubhead speed, delivering 3.6 mile an hour less ball speed. As a result, the smash factor was significantly less at 1.20 versus 1.26 with the Titleist True Feel. Now interestingly, while spin rates with the Slazenger V100 were actually higher at 7432 RPM versus 7300 RPM with the Titleist True Feel, as you can see, even with me hitting more shots and removing more of the inconsistent shots, the spin rate with the Slazenger V100 was nearly half the consistency of the Titleist True Feel. Now moving on to that ball flight, the peak height in particular stood out for me in this part of the test with the Slazenger V100 because I think it's the lowest that I've ever seen in all of my ball tests at 66 feet, whilst the launch angle was 0.7 degrees lower and the land angle was 2.1 degrees flatter than the Titleist True Feel. Now it's not for me to say which one of these is better or worse, but for me personally, I like to see my wedges go a little bit higher and give me the confidence that the golf ball is going to stop quickly on the green. Now let's just remember the name of this golf ball, the Slazenger V100 Distance. Well, due to that significantly lower ball speed, the Slazenger V100 actually carried 6 yards less than the Titleist True Feel. That's more than half a club shorter. Now, whilst the stopping power wasn't significantly worse with the Slazenger V100 due to that higher spin rate, it was slightly worse at 5 yards versus 4.1 yards with the Titleist True Feel. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it is nearly 20% more rollout than with the Titleist True Feel. Final thing to show you in this part of the test is my dispersion. Again, remember the fact that we are using the best of the best with the Slazenger V100, whilst we've got almost every shot from the data set with the Titleist True Feel, and but for that one shot with the True Feel, you would have seen it was an even tighter set of dispersion than we're seeing with the Slazenger V100. Right, let's move up to that 7-iron and see if we start to see any patterns. Right, let's deep dive into the data from those 7-irons. Now, starting on the left-hand side, once again, we can see that the Slazenger V100 isn't a very quick golf ball, with the ball speeds of 103.6 mile an hour being 1.9 mile an hour less than we got out the tightest true feel, despite me hitting the batch of shots with the Slazenger with a fraction more club head speed. As a result, the smash factor is once again a little bit lower. Now, interestingly, just like in that pitching wedge part of the test, the Slazenger is spinning more than the tightest true feel at 4557 RPM versus 4209 RPM. However, once again, the consistency of that spin rate is concerning me, as it's nearly twice as poor as the tightest true feel, despite me picking the best of the best set of shots. Now, moving on to that ball flight, we've also seen a similar pattern once again to what we saw at the pitching wedge. The ball flight is lower and flatter with the Slazenger than it is with the tightest true feel. The peak height of 71 feet is also right at the bottom end of what I'm used to seeing out of any golf ball that I test with a 7-iron, and that land angle of 41.5 degrees is very, very flat. So what does that all mean in terms of distance? Well, with that lower ball speed and slightly higher spin rate, the Slazenger V100 is a significantly shorter golf ball at 145.9 yards versus 152.1 yards with the tightest true feel. That's 6.2 yards shorter in this part of the test, or the equivalent of half a club. The spin rate did, however, compensate for the flatter ball flight, meaning the Slazenger V100 only rolled out 0.2 yards more than the tightest true feel at 12.4 yards versus 12.2 yards, and I must admit that did surprise me when I saw it in the data. I was expecting it to roll out just that fraction more. Now, in terms of my dispersion circles, as you can see, the tightest true feel is tighter left to right, front to back than what we were able to get out of the Slazenger as well. So not too great in this part of the test. Can the Slazenger redeem itself in the final part of the test? Let's head up to hitting some drivers. Again, I feel like I've hit that well, 126. And it is, that's like unbelievable delivery conditions for me, just that baby draw. Spinning at 3.4 is still high spin for the driver. It's only carried 199. The ball speed's only 127. But you can see I've massively hit up on it, 3.4 angle of attack. Like, I've given it every possible chance there, and it just hasn't delivered for me. I knew that was going to be turned over because I really am trying to get the distance out of it, and that means trying to hit the slingy one just to try and get something out of it. And it's the first time we've seen a spin rate that's even acceptable, I would say, at 2,800. We've carried it at 205 because it's a big slinger around the corner and totaled at 227, and we finally got 130 of ball speed, but that is me trying to manipulate this to get some numbers out of it. Again, that felt good. 2.8 on spin, again, is a number that we're pleased with. 207 of carry, 225 total. I'm really feeling like I'm having to work just to get that, whereas that was an effortlessly easy number to get out of the true feel. 130 again. Come on, 211. Still not as long as the longest I'm getting out of the true feel, but it really is as good as I can hit driver. Again, as good as I can hit it. 3696 spin is just so high. Right, let's finish up by dissecting all the data from that driver batch of shots. Now, starting on the left hand side, for one last time, we've seen the Slazenger V100 is a lot slower than the tightest true feel, delivering 3.5 mile an hour less ball speed and a lower smash factor of 1.41 versus 1.44. Just like in that pitching wedge and 7-iron part of the test, again the Slazenger V100 has a higher spin rate than the tightest true feel at 3148 RPM versus 2810 RPM, once again with less consistency. Now, if we put that consistency for one side for a second, we could make a case in the pitching wedge and the 7-iron part of the test that the higher spin rate, if it wasn't at the compromise of distance, is actually a good thing for lots of golfers, myself included. However, in this part of the test with the driver, this is too much spin for me, and as you'll see in a second, it's impacting the amount of distance that I'm getting out of this golf ball. I need my spin rate to be as close as possible to around 2,700 with the driver, so 400, 450 extra RPM is just not a good thing for me. Now, interestingly, for the first time since the short game test, we've seen the Slazenger has actually delivered a higher ball flight with 0.9 degrees more launch angle, 3 feet of additional peak height, and 2.3 degrees more land angle. Now, whilst high launch is a good thing with the driver, the overall stronger ball flight will reduce rollout and total distance. So what does that all mean? Well, given everything we've seen throughout the test, it's no surprise to see that the Slazenger V100 was 9.3 yards shorter in terms of carry distance and a massive 12 yards shorter in terms of total distance than the Titleist Truefield with the driver. It's also worth calling out the Titleist Truefield is by no means the longest golf ball that I've tested on the channel, so if we were to compare it to a golf ball that is a little bit longer still, that difference could be absolutely huge. Now just to finish up by showing you my shot dispersion, you can see that actually front to back they are very similar in this part of the test, but left to right the actual Slazenger is a little bit tighter than the Titleist Truefield. However, what I would say is you've got that one shot out to the left hand side with both of them. If we were to remove that shot from the data, it would be incredibly similar. Right, that leads me really nicely into my final thoughts. Now, whilst this video has been something fun and a little bit different from the channel, I think we can draw some serious conclusions from this video by testing a golf ball like the Slazenger V100 Distance. And we should start off with the positives because there definitely are a couple of those. First of all, that price point. Golf is a really expensive sport to pick up and to continue playing, and it's cited as one of the main reasons why people give up the game is the sheer cost of playing it. So anytime a manufacturer releases a product into the market that's cheaper than what we're used to seeing, we should absolutely praise them for that. And Slazenger here have delivered a golf ball that is somewhere in the region of about 50 to 60% cheaper than most of the next set of golf balls up that are available on the market today, and they should be praised for making golf accessible and inclusive for new golfers that want to try the game for the first time. The second thing we should call out is the durability of this golf ball. I do a lot of golf ball reviews on this channel. I'm hitting into a simulator, into a screen, and when I look at the golf ball at the end of the video, I can often see there's a few wear marks or a few scuff marks on the cover of the golf ball. That was not the case with the Slazenger V100 Distance. It looked exactly the same after 120 shots as it did the first shot when I took it out of the box, and it therefore is a highly durable golf ball, and Slazenger should be praised for that. The third and final positive is that on a one shot for one shot comparison, this golf ball was able to keep up with a golf ball that's 2.5 times the price of it, and that again should be commended. However, that does lead me really nicely into the negatives. Yes, this golf ball was able to deliver like-for-like performance from one shot to the next, but it wasn't able to deliver any level of consistency or consistent performance across a whole data set. Now for me personally, golf is made easier by me having the confidence that my golf ball is going to do the same thing time after time, and the only variable is me as the handicap golfer swinging the golf club. With this golf ball here, I had to hit twice as many shots in all parts of the data set, and even then picking the best of the best to have a data set, it still wasn't as consistent as the golf ball that we were benchmarking against in this video, the Titleist Truefield, and that does concern me because the type of golfer that's going to play this golf ball, it's going to make the game harder for them to get into and enjoy as much as they could do. The second thing to call out is the name of this golf ball is the Slazenger V100 Distance, implying that it's a long golf ball when it's actually quite the opposite. This is the shortest golf ball that I've ever tested on the channel, and it is half a club to a club shorter in all key parts of the test versus the Titleist Truefield, which, like I've already said, is far from the longest golf ball that I've ever tested over the last 2 to 3 years. Again, golf is made easier by being able to hit the golf ball a little bit further, and it makes the game a little bit more enjoyable, fun, it lowers our scores. So sacrificing half a club to a club of distance by playing a golf ball at this price point is not going to make golf any easier for the type of golfer that probably needs all the help they can get. So what would my recommendations be? Well, first of all, if you can stretch your price point to a golf ball in that £20 to £25 bracket, you definitely will get a golf ball that delivers consistency and a bit more distance and make the game a little bit more enjoyable and a little bit more fun for you. I would recommend the Titleist Truefield that we use for benchmarking purposes today, but other available options are the Callaway Super Soft, the TaylorMade Speed Soft, and the Srixon Soft Feel. If you're not able to stretch your price point that far, then I would definitely recommend looking at the reused golf ball market. You can get what's called like grade AAA or mint condition golf balls that have almost been hit once and lost, and they then become available in the second-hand market when you can normally pick up a dozen of any of those golf balls I've just touched on for the same price point as a dozen of the Slazenger golf balls. And again, I do think there'll be a better option for many golfers to consider that route versus picking up a brand new box of the Slazengers. All that's left for me to say is if you like the video, please do hit that thumbs up button. It really does help golfers like you to find my videos on YouTube. And if you're not yet subscribed to Weekend Tour Pros, hit that button down below. And if you also ring that bell icon, you'll get a little notification every single time one of my videos lands on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Have a great day. Goodbye.